Hi, my name is Jake Williams. Today I'm going to go over my SEDAI lesson plan that I used during my tutoring session. So for my tutoring session, I tutored a student on economics. So it's 12th grade economics. This is part of the civics econ class. For this particular standard, I did 12.2.2, discuss the effects of change in supply and or demand on the relative scarcity, price, and quantity of particular products. So pretty much you're just going to see how supply changes, how that changes the demand and so forth, and how that influences prices. So my learning objective for this lesson was learners will demonstrate knowledge of the supply and demand curve and what factors can influence supply and demand. The student will show comprehension through the poster at the beginning of the lesson, which is part of my into strategy, through answering in-text questions, which is part of my through, and as well as completing a graphic organizer at the end of the lesson, which is obviously the beyond section. So to start this lesson off, what I would do is have what I did is have the student draw a map of the supply and demand curve. So pretty much they should just say where demand is on this point and how that influences supply, where supply is on this point of the graph, how that influences demand, how prices influence there. What I did want them to do is annotate and talk about why they wrote that graph that particular way, just to see the knowledge that they had. After that, we kind of talked about the graph, what they needed to work on, what they didn't know, and then from there we went into the in-text questions. So the in-text questions are obviously my through strategy. So the student read out of the textbook and answered specific questions that I had laid out that I felt really outlined the concepts of the supply and demand curve, as well as how it influences price and other things. So once we finished that, we talked about it a little bit, just ironed out some of the things that they needed to know. And then after that, I had them complete a graphic organizer. So pretty much what this graphic organizer was supposed to do is it was supposed to say, a supply is this, then what's the demand, what's the pricing, and so on and so forth. It's a big chart, pretty much, not huge, but a couple of boxes, and it's like just different possibilities. So the student was pretty much supposed to be, if you're given this possibility, then this could happen, this is how demand is affected, this is how price is affected, and so on. But if, say, demand is low, then how is price affected, how is supply affected, and so on. So it was really, this graphic organizer is just really a good review session that I try to give them to really make sure they understand the different concepts about supply and demand and how it affects prices and products and so on and so forth. Through this lesson, like I say, is really just covering this aspect. During my tutoring session, I obviously covered different aspects of just economics with them. I did feel that this lesson was good for this particular student because it kind of gave them a little bit of everything. It gave them a little bit of drawing at the start of the lesson, obviously writing through the annotations they had to do, obviously reading and writing that they had to do through the in-text questions, but it also gave them a different way to view the course material at the end through the graphic organizer. I felt that there's a lot of different SEDAI strategies that were used that would help this student realize what the content is and try to comprehend the content material in different ways that they might identify with better. So I felt that this lesson was actually really positive for them, and they did, like I said, they felt that it worked at the end. They weren't frustrated or anything like that. They felt that they made progress and touched on the gaps that they had in their knowledge. So that is pretty much my lesson. It's nothing too complex, but it really did delve into the supply and demand curve, as well as how it influenced prices, products, and so on. And those are my different strategies that I kind of used throughout the lesson that revolved around the SEDAI things that we have learned in class. So thank you.